Our month-long Hometown 2031 project continues. This week, SpaceAlabama.com's Josh Barrett shows us what NASA is doing to get to Mars. All week long, he's been doing that. Well, tonight, what Huntsville's private companies will be doing in space over the next 16 years.
For a lot of people, NASA and space exploration are almost synonymous, but in the next decade, that is going to change. As NASA sets its sights on Mars, the private sector could be taking over the space closer to home. Huntsville is not only home to NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center, but also dozens of private companies in the space industry. Boeing is among the largest and oldest, and they could be the first private company to take astronauts to the space station.
So when we think about space exploration in Huntsville, and we think about space exploration taking us to Mars, it's about commercialization of low Earth orbit, which we're doing with Boeing CST-100 by 2017.
Their CST-100 capsule is part of an effort to allow commercial space to take over low Earth orbit. NASA will be focusing their resources on Mars, but they don't want to abandon decades of progress around Earth.
In order to move on to those harder missions, if you will, to push the envelope and allow exploration and pioneering of space, the idea is to have commercial crew and commercial entities to bring the cost down to a resupply station to allow its full utilization and therefore free up resources.
Commercial activities are already underway on the ISS. Bigelow Aerospace is testing an inflatable module later this year, and Boeing even has plans to sell seats on their CST-100 to tourists. But the ISS only has about a decade left in its lifespan. After that, we could be seeing fully private space stations, which could be used for both science and leisure.
2020s, 2030s, you start seeing the development of Bigelow Space Station as a new destination. 2030s, 2040s, really getting us toward the journey to Mars and getting to Mars, and then we will look back on Earth.
It's hard to say what exactly the commercial space industry will look like when people are on their way to Mars, but right now, more space hardware is being developed by both NASA and the private industry than at any other point in history.
There's certainly a lot of interest. You see a lot of new entrants into the marketplace that are wanting to serve a role in low Earth orbit.
100 years ago, Boeing began producing some of the first commercial airplanes. Now they take tourists to vacations around the world. The possibilities for the next 100 years are even more exciting.
And here we are going into our second century. And if you think about it, when we're in our second century, we might have commercial spaceflight taking those vacations to Bigelow.
The idea, if we can make it safe and affordable and low risk, which we are proving we can, and I'm say we in terms of commercial industry, then I think it opens up a lot of possibilities there.
Things look good for a thriving commercial space industry in 16 years, and that means more opportunity for Huntsville's private space companies. For SpaceAlabama.com, I'm Josh Barrett.
And our Hometown 2031 project continues tomorrow on First News Morning with a look at the role Huntsville could play in future inventions. Then at 5, the future of Ditto landing. And at 10, Josh Barrett continues his series on the mission to Mars. And you can see all of these reports on Hometown2031.com.